Hi everyone, this week we're going to be going over Chapter 8, Controlling Food Costs During Service and Sales. We'll talk about the importance of portion control to food cost, explain the importance of training, monitoring, and follow-through as they relate to the service team, explain the importance of product usage and waste reports to control the cost of high-cost food items. List and describe each payment method used by the restaurant and food service industry. Explain how to complete a daily sales report. Because the most of the controls in food service are interconnected and dependent on one another, it is important that we make sure each control works is enforced. In the service area, major cost control is a portion control, or the amount of food in a serving. This means controlling portions and preventing theft. Portion control is the amount of food in a serving, as identified by the standardized recipe or company standard. Quite often, the menu will list with their corresponding portion size. Successful food costing relies on correct portioning by production staff. Problems can also come from lack of portion control. It is important to inspect portions and weights each shift and address issues immediately. So there's a couple different devices you can be using. They show pictures of scoops, or they're even called dishers. So portion control is linked to the cook's line through the use of recipes. Whatever portion is represented on the menu must be translated accurately into the standardized recipes and then monitored into the serving process to ensure that food cost stays in line. It is done through portion devices or tools. The proper tools should always be specified. There are a variety of tools that can be used to help portioning. There's scoops that there's an example of, ladles, spoons, different sized dishes, and scales, all to make sure that you're hitting the correct portion size. So we also have pre-portioned and pre-made items. So food that is measured or weighed before going into the line is pre-portioned. Pre-portioning results in true food cost control, improved consistency, and speed. Some items may even be pre-made, more so in faster service restaurants and less in fine dining establishments. Determining the balance between pre-made items and from-scratch items on the establishment and can change over time. It is directly affected by customer acceptance, staff/equipment, capabilities, storage space, menu pricing, and food cost. So yeah, the more fast the restaurant is, the more that you will see pre-portioned and pre-made items. I worked in one fine dining where we did for a short amount of time have pre-made desserts because we lost our pastry chef, but nothing else was pre-portioned or pre-made. So it really comes down to what you want in your restaurant, or what, if you're working for somebody else, what they want in their restaurant. And they also need to think about the time it takes to make versus buying it pre-made as well. Employee service training. So employees have to be consistently trained and retrained to use the portion control device and to give customers exactly what they are paying for. And following through that they know what they're doing is just as important as training, especially when you're coming into a restaurant. If you ever worked in a restaurant, you ever worked on the line, it's busy. You're kind of sink or swim time. So what you always think you remember might not be it, or you take the person that trained you, maybe that was the same way for them. This is what they've always done, but that wasn't the standard. So it's very important to follow up to make sure everybody's on the same page. Managers need to consistently check portions to ensure that they are exactly what they're looking for. I've done that several times, and you make it random. Let them know that you're watching, but don't check every single one. Once they see that you're checking, then when you stand back there, they know that you're watching. And eventually, they're just going to do it automatically because they know that you're going to eventually test one of them. In addition, servers need to process information about the menu ingredients, cooking methods in order to reduce customer food or beverage item returns. They also have a good chunk in the book all about serving more server training. Please make sure you get all that read as well. So we have a couple of different reports. You have the product usage and waste reports. So use of costly food items such as steak or seafood should be monitored carefully because these food items are more vulnerable to theft and fraudulent sales by some employees. Therefore, par stock and daily use of expensive items should be monitored regularly. So the two reports to help do this: the product usage report, I've got an example right there, the detail of number of items issued to the cook's line, and then number returned to inventory. So if you look, you can see we have steaks, strip steak. He was given 35 and only returned 5. So according to the sales, there should be 30 of those used. A ribeye, they were issued 40, 2 returned, 37 sold. At least they let us know the one was overcooked, so they're going to be off by 1. And then you have your waste report. And it's number, I'm trying to figure out how I wrote, oh, it's because it came from the next line. Sorry about that. So this is just why ever it was discarded, what it was and why. Waste reports for high-cost food items should be analyzed carefully to detect any negative deviations in food waste from predetermined standards. All right, again, it's still what it is and why. So we have peas, 5 servings, too long in the steam table. We got mushy, unservable. The velouté sauce, 1 quart, sauce broke. So at least if you keep records of why it is, and that will also help with your training as well. When you realize that something is being discarded for the same reason over and over again, you can go back to the cook and see if they know what they're doing and retrain if needed. So controlling food cost and sales. So once a customer has received their meals, what leaves the kitchen must be paid for, and cash or card must be handled properly. Duplicate check system may be used with handwritten checks or a POS system which records everything electronically. Regardless of what guest check control system is used, one of the last steps is when the customer pays. There are a wide variety of payment options. One being the hardest to control is cash. There are some specifics for cash handling that ensure all cash and charge transactions are accurately accounted for. They do have great examples in the book for this. So here's just some similarities. They have the same exact one in your book between a duplicate check and a POS system. Guest payment. There are more ways for a customer to pay for food and beverages. Cash is universally accepted. Credit cards and debit cards involve a cost of the operation. So sometimes Visa will charge, well not sometimes, but they all charge. Like a 2.5%. So no matter what, it's 2.5% per month. Whatever you've been charged, what people are charging, you have to pay 2.5% of that. Another example you might even seen in gas stations. I'm trying to think. There's one in town. When I say that's like Prospect and Riverside, maybe, that they actually, you get charged less. Or they charge you their fee. So if you pay cash, it costs less per gallon. If you pay with your card, it works in that 2.5% or whatever they are charging at that location. You pay it right then and there if you're using your card. The bank that issues the card and credit card company tells they set their operation fee, and that's usually a percentage of the guest check. Traveler's checks are decreasing in popularity and acceptance. I think I've only taken 2 in my whole entire life. Not many operations still accept bad checks or personal checks due to the possibility of receiving a bad check, in which case the operation was paid for the value of the bad check. Organizations may also offer other means of payment, such as corporate accounts. Maybe they'll pay them once a month. They come in regularly, they do a lot of business meetings there, and they just pay you at the end of the month. It's kind of the same with house accounts. Usually those are more like friends and neighbors. And they also have vouchers and comps. Each organization has its own policies on these methods of payment. So here's an example of a cash report. You can see the cashier's name here. There was the manager. So this is when they count out the register, they count out the drawer at the end of the day. So you can see they have one $50 bill, 23 $20 bills, 10 $47, and so on and so forth. So everything is accounted for. You add it all up, and then they have a total of charge slips. So those are added in credit cards to their register, and then checks. So they had a total of $4,077.10 that was brought in to this register. And their starting bank, or what the register started at, is $300. So their total sales on this cash drawer is $3,777.10. So then compare that to the daily sales report. So this one, I've never had a daily sales report go this far. I'm assuming this is starting at the beginning of the year. They're just taking the first reading of the day. The register reading was this, and at the end of the day was this. So this is what cash should be in there, $3,779.54. So now we take that cash report and go against it. So you can see the checks, the charges again, and the money that was turned in, less the bank. This is what you have. Now that does not quite match up. We're short $2.44. Their reasoning was they gave wrong change. That could quite possibly be only $2.44. That's not a terrible amount of money. Now each operation will have a different variance allowance. Some places they only want $1. Some places you can go up to $5. It all depends on how much control you want. You just got to make sure you document this and talk to the employee and make sure this gets under control. It doesn't get out of hand. So a daily sales report is a form that shows sales, cash, and charges collected, as well as money over or short for the shift. The manager or bookkeeper completes the daily sales report from the cash report and the register readings. Basically what I just said. And that is it for this week. On this week's assignment, I do have you just writing to me about a bad service experience you had and what you would have done as a manager to change it. Yep, that's all I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much and have a great week. No, not quite. So there are there's an additional video on suggestive selling. It is outdated in the way it looks, but the information is still great. The Sullivan knot is huge, and I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but I know you have seen it. So please make sure you watch that video. That's a little more on suggestive selling. They're talking about just appetizers, but the whole way to approach upselling is the same. And there's also an article on table management and how to prevent a dine and dash. So please make sure you read and watch the additional stuff this week. And that is it. Thanks.